You ever wonder what it'd be like to beat a Pokemon game without using an actual Pokemon? What's that? You haven't? Oh, well, that's because you're a relatively normal person then. I'm not, however, and have decided to beat Pokemon Emerald with just using a candle. No, not that God's sake. This candle. It starts off with Ember, Mud Slap, and the ability Flame Body. Ember because, well, it's a candle. Flame Body because, well, it's a candle. And Mud Slap's the closest thing to the idea of him using his whack to blind his enemies. We all on the same page? Okay. Now, for those who have watched the first 2 episodes of this, which I'm assuming is quite literally 3 of you at this point, you're going to notice something very distinct about this candle. It struggles against pretty much everything. Well, at least main trainer-wise. So let's cut the crap and go straight to the first gym. Now, for those who know Pokemon Emerald, you're going to realise that a fire type against Roxanne, well, it's an absolute bitch. Now, I already had a feeling that I was going to struggle with it. Go figure, she's a rock gym leader. So I started to grind a little bit before even trying. Whilst grinding, I learned Smoke Screen, because candle can make smoke. As you can see, Ember isn't doing too bad damage, but we die in literally 1 rock type attack. But you might have noticed, I have Mud Slap and Smoke Screen, so why not I just lower their accuracy until I win? Well, it's not that easy. It's a strategy what relies too much on the idea that, well, she needs to keep missing, which even with like 5 accuracy drops, it's still going to happen relatively often. I knew it wasn't going to be a consistent strategy, so I just decided to level up. So I tried again at level 17. And, well, how did that get me? Well, I died in 2 hits. Still. I'll try again, see how much that can get me. I'll try even Mud Slapping, but no, still 2 hits. Down. And the biggest problem with Roxanne was, no matter how low I lowered their accuracy, they still managed to keep hitting me. I started doing the strategy of, if they hit me once, I'm not going to win. I had to try and get lucky in the fact that they kept missing, but again, it wasn't consistent at all. Go figure. It was an incredibly luck-based strategy, so, well, I had to go back to grinding. Again. Level 18? Well, what's the point of even pretending as if I won? No. Level 20? Am I really gonna have to fight the first gym on level 20? Well, I managed to knock out the first Geodude. Barely. That was about it. Just enough so the second Geodude could knock me out in a single rock tomb, unless it misses. Could I get lucky? Well, you know, rock tomb's kind of cool. How great. And this is just the first gym. I should also mention that whilst grinding, I learned Poison Gas. The idea is, Wick as a character can change what scent it has. So one of its moves would be like, it can change into a poisonous scent to poison its foes. Something dumb like that, you probably don't care, you're here to see the candle take out the Geodudes. Well, sorry to disappoint, but it's not. We are at level 22 and we are still not winning at all. We're losing consistently, if anything. And since it's the first gym, there's very little other options other than, well, I could keep at it until I get like 1 in a million chance lucky, or I could just grind again, even more. Let's try on level 23. Let's see where that gets us. Well, I managed to take out the first Geodude without taking any hits. Rock Tomb missed on the second one. The second one did hit me though. It heals. It gets burnt though. That's optimal. I take out the Geodude. This is like the first time I've seen the nose pass. I know it's going to go for a hardened first, so I try and lower its accuracy. Is it going to knock me out in 1 hit? Well, I guess we'll never know, because it missed like 20 times in a row. I could not believe it. The first gym was taken down at level 23, and honestly, I reckon it would have been a lot longer if not for the fact that I just got incredibly lucky at that go. But I'm not complaining, I'm happy I finally done it. I can move on, I can do some other stuff. And since I'm incredibly over-leveled, the second gym should be a breeze, right? No. I take out the Meditite and Machop, relatively easy, but the Makihita caused problems. And it wasn't anything more than he managed to kill me before I killed him. And since I was still a bit annoyed that I had to train for so long just for the first gym, I skipped him. Brawly was being a bitch, and I didn't want to waste any more time on him. Plus, Wick knows ground type moves, and fire type moves. I thought it'd be alright against Watson. All I had to do was just get to him. But even that caused problems. I was struggling on the 3rd rival battle of all things. I'm also going to mention I accidentally screwed up the rival pattern thing. I usually try and make it so the rival picks the starter good against me, but I realised it doesn't really matter in the challenge, they're not too big of a challenge, and I accidentally screwed up and gave my rival the easy option. Even that was killing me though, quickly. Not only would the Wingull screw me up, but then Slugma would yawn me, and then Grovyle would finish me off. The Grovyle, of all things, would finish me off. I was level 27 at this point, struggling to take on level 18s. 18s! I was most certainly fuming. But we got past whatever. Let's fight Watson. That should be an easy one. I'm already like 10 levels above everyone. Ember doesn't knock the Volt up out into hits? What? And then I get paralyzed, and then, oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. You couldn't just give me a bone, could you, game? You had to screw me over on every single turn. Yes, young viewer, Watson was indeed being a bitch to face as well. For no other reason than Wick just kind of sucks in Pokemon. I'll explain why in a bit, but at this point in time, I'm just grinding endlessly. At least we can use held items, so Wick does have a Cherry Berry in case he gets paralysed, so it can heal from 1. So I grind until I'm level 34. Can I take out the Voltorb in 1 hit? No, still barely. And the Electrike's also 2 hits, but the Magneton, luckily I've got the advantage. I get paralysed though. Sonic Boom. I'm paralysed against the Manectric, that's not what you want. He starts setting up, I can't attack, and, well... And keep in mind, this is after I've beaten literally every trainer I could possibly face at this point. I should also mention whilst training, Wick learnt a track. It's mainly because, well, Wick's meant to be this very adorable character, so, well, he can attract other Pokemon to not want to fight him. Wick's a lover, not a fighter. Does not stop me from commanding him to kick the ever-loving shit out of all of Watson's Pokemon, though. Which he ended up doing and winning with 3 HP left and paralysed. I was honestly stunned. I could not believe what happened. And again, that was just because I got incredibly lucky. Imagine how much I would have had to train if I didn't get incredibly lucky. Level 40? 50 even? Whatever, I'm just happy that I finally got past him and we can move on. First Maxi battle wasn't incredibly interesting or anything, it was just, Mightyena wasn't too difficult, Zubat wasn't too difficult. Camera Up, if he uses anything relative to magnitude, I'm dead. So, just keep hoping he misses. And that's the biggest problem with Wick, is his strategy is incredibly luck-based, more so than the bats from last episode, as you literally need to pray that they keep missing all their attacks that would kill you in one shot. And, well, if you do get lucky, well, you win, but if you don't, you have to reset and just keep slapping until eventually they do. I do not believe this is the definition of fun. But at least in Leverage Town I get the item Charcoal, which is a held item what boosts fire type moves. So Wick being a pure fire type, it's definitely going to help. What's going to help even more though is, whilst going through Flannery's gym, Wick learns Flamethrower. So 2 relatively decent upgrades. How's that going to help us work against Flannery though? Well, I thought it was funny since their Camera Up and Torkoal, the 2 biggest threats, were both female, and, well, I used Flannery's strategy against her. I used Attract on both of hers. But even then, for a lack of any other term, Flannery was a bitch. Do you remember in the Maxi fight where I said anytime the Camera Up used Magnitude, I'll just reset automatically because I knew I wouldn't survive it? Well, the same's here, except it wasn't just magnitude, there was a bunch of other factors in here as well. One of them being, just because I attracted them, doesn't mean they can't attract me. And, well, luckily, the Camera Up does learn Sunny Day, so if it does use it, I can use that to my advantage as well. But even then, that also means Flannery's Torkoal can also take advantage of that, Overheat. And it doesn't kill me in 1 hit, but the idea is, since Torkoal's got a white herb, it regains its special attack drop and, well, just kills on the second anyway. Now, I did notice I was getting incredibly close to winning each time, but I started to realise I feel like that was for a reason. The main thing here wasn't that I was getting close, it was that I just kept losing. So, on Gym Badge 4, for the 4th time pretty much, I grinded. I tried again on level 39, and even then, although I did win eventually, it wasn't very consistent. It was just a case of, is someone setting up Sunny Day? Am I going to be attracted? Am I attracting them? Basically, a crap ton of luck. But I prevailed! And after going back to immediately kick the crap out of Brawly, I went to Norman. And Norman was a very pleasant surprise. He wasn't a bitch. His slacking caused a bit of a problem, but it's not as if I just mud-slapped him until, well, I cheesed him, okay, I'll happily admit that. But still, I beat him on my first attempt. That was the only gym leader I did manage to take out on my first attempt on this run. And whilst we're on the topic of gym leaders we didn't take out on our first attempt, Winona! A Pelipper that spams Protect, and an Altaria that knows Earthquake and Dragon Dance? Fuck that! I'd rather get 3 thoughts of my rear end trapped in a car door. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, Winona was a bitch. Even after leveling up, it just wasn't even getting close, and if I'm honest, at this point, my patience was ran out. This was the 5th gym leader where I genuinely just... it was a dead end. Now, I didn't mention it in the past 2 playthroughs, but you can skip Winona. You don't... she just makes you fly, which it makes it easier later on, but I can just go back to her later. So yeah, I buggered her off. Although granted, there wasn't really anything important that happened in the spare time between me going out, fighting Team Aqua, Mount Pyra, and then just coming back, so... I could have just as easily said this was just me grinding, but whatever. I was level, what, 47 at this point? Let's see how I can do. Now, Pelipper also knows Supersonic, well I didn't quite mention, but yeah, that pisses me off as well. Realistically though, I just tried to attract. Luckily the Altaria was a female, so just attract and try and lower accuracy. And I've been meaning to mention this the past 2 playthroughs, but I keep forgetting. Why does the Altaria only have an Oranberry? It's the 6th gym, yet she's only got an Oranberry. Why not a citrus one? Part of me thinks it's because, well, citrus berries are kind of bad for gym leaders, because if you knock them out into red, the citrus berry heals them up to the point where the gym leader won't use a healing item on them, meaning you can just easily kill them next turn. So part of me thinks to give them an Oranberry so the Altaria doesn't heal that much back, so Winona will still use a healing item. Whatever, doesn't matter. Winona's done, goodbye. So you know what the best part about being overleveled is? Is that you still struggle. And that's not me saying, oh, Maxi was difficult, but I still managed to do him eventually. No. This was a losing battle. Similar to last time I fought Maxi's camera up, this was literally any time used an Earthquake, I would die. Don't matter how much health I was at, you can knock me out in one shot. And since I replaced Mudslap with Mudshot now, the only thing I have left is Smokescreen. And well, one Smokescreen isn't going to immediately mean he's going to miss, and even if he does, I'm going to go for another Smokescreen, but that's not to say he's not going to attack me the next turn anyway. Basically, a giant crapshoot, I wasn't winning. I trained up to level 50 and still was losing in one hit. I'm going to get to that point in the game where there's not that many more places I can grind. At least without it taking a literal eternity. So I'm going to quickly do you a favour and skip the 20 failed attempts and tell you the new strategy what I eventually learned. After beating Brawly, he gives us Bulk Up, which is very similar to Calm Mind, except instead of special attacks it boosts its physical and defense. And since we're in Gen 3, all ground type moves are physical. I replaced Smokescreen with Bulk Up. This was also because I wanted to get rid of Smokescreen sooner or later anyway. I feel like just relying on accuracy lowering moves, it stopped being fun a while ago. And Bulk Up, infinitely more useful. I just set up on the Mighty Inner, I know I can take him down in one hit anyway. The only problem is, I can't bulk up too much because, well, the Mighty Inner knows Roar, and if it rolls out Wick, well, that's a reset, I can't use any other Pokemon. But at the same time, it was still awkward because I needed to bulk up big time, otherwise Mudshot isn't going to take out the Camerupt in one hit. Basically, instead of being an immediate loss, it just became a tedious kind of loss because, well, it still wasn't 100%, it all depended on how the Mighty Inner, if he was going to be a douche or not. But either way, as at every challenge I've faced so far, I prevailed after like 27.2 attempts. And then the Team Aqua hideout, that was a breeze. I was like 50 levels below everyone at this point. Didn't even think about it. So after depositing all my HM slaves, I went for Tate and Liza. Now, I made fun of Tate and Liza in my last 2 playthroughs, with the Go and Bat playthrough, saying it was incredibly easy, I both won on my first attempt, blah blah blah. Well, I suppose this is my formal apology to them. Tate and Liza weren't just difficult, I wouldn't even go so far to say they were both bitches, which they both were, but no. Tate and Liza are what I would describe as, quite literally, impossible. They've got a Xatu, what sets up Calm Mind and can take me out quite easily, a Claydol that knows Earthquake, Solrock and Lunatone both resist me. It was a lot more than just okay, I'll grind for a bit. This was I will literally grind for about 4 hours, and even then, I was not winning. Not even getting close. I'd try at level 55 and I'd lose. I'll try at level 60 and I'd lose. I'll try level 65 and lose. No matter what I tried, I would lose. And I couldn't set up with Bulk Up because that only raised my physical attack, and well, all 4 of their Pokemon are immune to my ground type attacks, which is my only physical ones. And whilst recording this, I realised I can't commentate over this. There's nothing to commentate over. Otherwise I'll just repeat myself saying, I tried but I lost, I tried but I lost, I tried but I lost, I tried but I lost. So, whilst I'm grinding endlessly in the background, I thought it'd be fun to try something new for this series. Now, I don't know how much you would assume of these characters, but well, I've had most of these characters for quite a while, and some of them have fun little backstories and inspirations and all that to them, so just to fill up this dead space, I thought it'd be fun to explore the history of Wick. If you find all that stuff boring and just want to skip to the part where I finally beat Tate and Liza, skip to about 20 hours ahead, or look at the timestamp. Ah, the power of editing. So, funnily enough, Wick was actually originally designed as a Fakemon. For those who don't know, a Fakemon is literally just a fake Pokemon, a Pokemon designed by a fan. And when I was younger, I had my own quote-unquote original art style, what I called Drawn Badly. Fun fact, this is actually where Tabat was first drawn in. So I guess chronologically speaking, Tabat was drawn first, then Wick, then Gilly. So the whole point of this Fakey Dex was that, well, they all did look a bit bad, but it was kind of on purpose. I kind of enjoyed that simplicity for some reason. And the first 3 Pokemon I designed for this Fakey Dex were the 3 starters. A pumpkin, a candle, and a crab. Ugh, look at them. They're certainly different, aren't they? I feel like even Drawn Badly was a bit of an optimistic point of view. But either way, a few years passed, and I had somewhat of this epiphany where I wanted to start focusing more on my pixel art as I kind of started to realise my paper doodles suck. So I kind of wanted to redo most of my characters in this pixel art style, and the first ones I decided to do were revamp the 3 starters. There we go. Now they don't look as absolutely terrible. But as time went on, I kind of stopped seeing them so much as creatures you catch and make battle, and more as their own characters what just live in the world. The candle wasn't its own species anymore, it was just its own character. It wasn't until I was in an IT class where, instead of doing work, I was just talking to my friends and spitballing ideas. I asked him, what name would you give a candle? And he said Wick. So I had the name, I had the design, all I really needed was, well, his own story. And then this started the development of a game called The Flip Side. I'm not going to explain The Flip Side because that's a whole new other can of worms. Well, the development for that started way before Wick, and I don't even know where it's going now, so we're going to leave that. But the long and short of it was an RPG where Wick was one of the characters, along with 3 other members, what I'm not going to spoil because hopefully you'll see them soon in this challenge anyway. But when designing the RPG, since Wick was originally meant to be a Pokemon, I actually did write a bunch of stats down for Wick. So when making it into the RPG, it wasn't too difficult as I converted all the Pokemon stats into his RPG stats. The main difference being I gave Wick an incredibly high magic stat, which, as you probably know, Pokemon doesn't specifically has a magic stat. I mean that in the sense of magic points. Wick could use a lot of different magic abilities during one battle. He could summon earthquakes that did field damage. He could change his scent to do different types of inflictions. He even had plans to turn himself into a dragon. So, when making Wick into Pokemon Emerald, it was a somewhat similar process of I'll convert his RPG stats back into Pokemon. And that's where we find all of Wick's biggest problems, and it all comes down to because of the RPG. Reason 1 is his moveset. As I mentioned before, Wick had an incredibly large moveset in the RPG, and that was because in that RPG there wasn't a limit. In Pokemon, you can only have up to 4 moves per Pokemon, but Wick in the RPG had 27, I believe. And since most of those moves wouldn't work in Pokemon, at least without me editing it majorly, like him turning into a dragon, or changing his wax shape into something else, he ended up having not a weak move pool. He definitely can learn a lot of moves in this, but just not ones what would have helped him more. Especially considering, in the RPG, it's not just a 1v1 on every battle, it's a 4v however many enemies they are. So Wick fundamentally doesn't work in Pokemon because he's not meant to just be alone. He's definitely weak, but that's because, well, he's with 3 other quote-unquote weak members. It's strength in numbers, definitely. Another one of the reasons is because Wick has terrible stats. And that's because in the RPG, he starts off with incredibly low stats. His gimmick was he would start incredibly low, but with each level he would gain like 10 to 20 points per level. He would grow up incredibly quickly, but start incredibly weak. However, Pokemon doesn't work like that. I can't change how much he grows specifically, and well, if he starts with low stats, it's going to be a slow climb up to eventually get high stats. So I feel like the main reason Wick isn't working in Pokemon Emerald, and why it's incredibly hard, is because he's got incredibly low stats, he's not fighting in a team, and he's got an incredibly low selection of moves for any given time. Plus, I feel like it's just hard to be a fire type in Hoenn, because it is like 90.7% water. And that's pretty much the history of Wick. Just, it started out as a Fakemon, became its original character, became in an RPG, and now it's back in a Pokemon game. How fun. So back to Tate and Liza, back to the personal hell I put myself through. I wasn't recording when I had made my other attempt at level 73. I completely forgot, because I stopped recording when I was grinding, so I was like, there's no point. So I had another throwaway attempt, and I completely forgot I didn't click record, and I got really close. Really close. So I stopped grinding and just kept going for it. I was so close, I could taste victory. I knew I could have done it. But like with all Wick battles, it's very luck reliant. It's very awkward to think about which one to take out first out of the Claydol and Xatu, but the main thing you need is, whatever you do take out first, instead of Lunatone going first, you need Soul Block. As, I'm not sure if you know this, but the sun knows Sunny Day, which boosts fire-type moves, so I kind of needed that for Wick, because that's the only way I was going to beat Lunatone and Soul Block. I'm also going to mention, like I said earlier, with Wick being part Dragon or whatever, he learns Dragon Breath, because that was the closest idea to him attacking with that like dragon insides or whatever. And that was pretty much the whole Tate and Liza fight. It was just flamethrower until you might get lucky or you might die, but each time I did die, it was so close to victory, I could taste it. I was training for legitimately like 4 hours. I knew I was so close, I just couldn't give up. I had to do it now. And wouldn't you know it, I did. You can see I was physically flabbergasted that I finally did it. Words couldn't describe how happy I was that I did it, but annoyed that it took so long at the same time. Like, watching this video, I'm sure you know that, well, you know, I have beaten the whole game, otherwise I wouldn't have made a video about it, but I hope you realise how much of a pain in the ass it was to do this. Tate and Liza were such bitchity little bitches, that's the only way I can put it. Let's change the subject quickly before I start saying bitch any more times. Very little happened after that until I got to Juan. One thing I forgot to note was I replaced Mudshot with Dig and then eventually Dig with Earthquake. But you know what's hilarious? You know what's funnier than literally anything? Not being able to beat Juan. You can probably guess what I'm going to say now. He was a la biche. I had to grind off of all of his trainers, and even then, when I finally did beat him, it didn't feel like I won. And that's because, at the end of the day, I've still got the Elite Four and Champion, and the Champion's also a Water type. I don't like to swear too much. I'm not too much of a sweary person. I've already sweared a few times in this video alone, but fuck me, I'm not excited for this. So let's jump straight into the Elite Four. Sydney, easy. Just spam Flamethrower and all of his team goes. The only problem is Crawdon, I had to set up a Calm Mind before immediately taking him out. I'll mention I replaced Bulk Up with Calm Mind. Phoebe, pretty easy. Just Calm Mind while the Dusclops protects and then just spam Flamethrower, done. But the third member, oh the third member. I lost against her. Over and over and over again. Let me explain what I was at least trying to do. The plan was set up a Calm Mind whilst the first Celio sets up Hail, and rather set up another Calm Mind whilst it body slams or take it out in 2 flamethrowers. But either way, I was going to get a body slam, which that has a small chance to paralyze. I say small chance, it happened, I want to say just less than every single time. So even if I did manage to take out the Celio, Walrein would just come up and surf and end it. There's no fun story time here. There's just, I failed, and it was such a, it just hurt that much more knowing I was so close, I was almost done with this shit fest yet so far away at the same time. But I didn't give up. I knew I couldn't this far in it. I grinded a lot. I wouldn't win at level 80, I wouldn't win at level 82, I wouldn't win at level 85, I wouldn't win at level 88, I wouldn't win at level 90. I didn't want to just call it quits and level all the way up to level 100 because, as I've mentioned in previous runs, I don't want to just immediately level up to level 100 because that's like, well of course you won, you're level 100 because, and even then, I doubt I would have been able to easily win at level 100. But I got lucky. I defeated the Walrein, and after the Walrein, everything else is easy, just more flamethrowers. I got a bit scared near the end, with Hail taking a lot of damage. I survived on 7 HP. Again, I got incredibly lucky these difficult battles. But that was the Ice member gone. I didn't need to see that Ice bitch ever again. I jumped straight into Drake. Now, since I knew his Shell Gun would use Protect first, I set up a Calm Mind. I then wondered if he would set another one up, so I used it again, and he used Rock Tomb, which slowed me down. I got scared at this point, so I just spammed okay. And that was it. All that luck, grinding, to get up to the Ice, and even after all the luck I did to beat her, all it took was just... I was done. I stopped playing. I took a long break to relax, get my thoughts together, wipe away the tears, and just grind even more. And the thing is, I probably could have beaten Drake at level 82 if I just didn't use another Carmine and go straight into Dragon Breath. But the problem was getting up to Drake, and at this point, it felt like I had to play it 200 times just to get past it once, and it wasn't fun. It was annoying, and I realised it needs to be more consistent, so I just grinded again. All the way up to 90. The only difference it made for Sydney and Phoebe was that, well, I didn't need to set up a Calm Mind for the Crawdon, and, well, I had to set up a Calm Mind for the Dusclops anyway, because it would use Protect, but other than that, it's still relatively easy. But they weren't the problem. The Ice Bitch was. Even at my extremely high level and a Calm Mind setup, I couldn't quite get the Celio down in one hit, but it still brought up the chance of it body slamming me and me getting a paralysis, which happened a lot. It happened so often to the point where if it body slammed and paralysed me, I would just reset. I wouldn't be winning if I was paralysed. The hail, the wall rain, it would just knock me out immediately. But eventually, I finally took her out. Goodbye, Ice Bitch. You can suck a fat donkey dong for all I care. Be gone. And Drake, well, after I knew what not to do anymore, yeah, it was quite easy. Only use one Calm Mind and just spam Dragon Breath. And, well, because of my immense high level, I assume, yeah, everything was taken out in one hit. Except the Altaria. But it got paralysed on like 5 HP left. It went for Dragon Dance. I knew it wasn't going to attack next turn, it was going to heal, so I didn't want to risk it and went for another Calm Mind and just took it out the next turn. I was genuinely shaking at this point because I've never got this far and I didn't want to screw up on one of the very last Pokemon. So now we're on to Wallace. The final champion, the water-based champion. Can we beat it with just a candle? Now, I immediately got scared because I forgot how random the Wailord could be. Could it go for Water Spout, Rain Dance? I realised the only thing I could do was just pray it goes for Rain Dance and not Water Spout, otherwise I'd assume that immediately killed me. And it goes for Double Edge instead. I don't know how Gen 3 works, but I got worried. I didn't think Flamethrower would do much damage, so I went for Dragon Breath instead. I take it out, but take a lot of damage. And then Ludicolo comes out, it uses Double Team, and it takes me out. The biggest problem with Wallace was that I had a lack of experience fighting him. I didn't know what would be best against this team. I didn't know what to do, and well, he would take advantage of that and take me out. So annoyed at how much luck it took me to get up to this point, and I just lost after that. I just went and grinded until I was level 95 and tried again, because I was sick of just losing due to luck. And honestly, I would have probably leveled up to level 100 if I kept losing again. I was so sick of losing. This took me until about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I started this at like 2 in the afternoon. This challenge was meant to just be a fun little thing to keep me occupied, but I wanted to rip my own hair out. Especially after you lose to the Wall Rain on a critical hit. Words cannot describe how angry I was, how immeasurably pissed I was. It makes me angry how I cannot convey how much emotion was going through me at this very specific point in time. I was extremely tempted to grind to level 100, but I realised in reality it was a fluke, and I didn't want it to stop me, and I went for another go. And on that another go, I won, finally, with somewhat consistent results. Screw you, you ice-wielding cowbag. There's a reason I can't remember your name, and it makes me sad that I'm going to have to see you again in the next playthrough. Drake, nothing to mention, just, he's done. Let's do the champion. How do we do the champion? Well, again, incredibly lucky, we go for Calm Mind as he goes for Rain Dance. I go for the Dragon Breath again in case I get that lucky paralysis. I do, and he goes for the Water Spout, which, remember, low HP, low damage, I survive with a fair bit of health left. Ludicolo out again, and frankly I wasn't sure what to do. In hindsight, probably should have done a Calm Mind whilst he was doing Double Team, but I just kept going for Flamethrower as it did neutral damage. I thought it would have healed, so I went for another Calm Mind. It doesn't. Wallace withdraws him and goes out with Tentacruel. Weird choice, but I went for Earthquake, knocked out in one hit. I've got 2 Calm Minds up, throws out the Ludicolo again, has to heal up. I go for a 3rd Calm Mind. Need I say anything more? Ludicolo, Flamethrower, dead. The Whiscash, well, I got a bit scared and I went for Earthquake just to stay on the safe side. Knock him out in a safe 2 hits. Flamethrower the Gyarados, it's gone. And the Milotic, 2 incredibly easy Flamethrowers. That was it. My heart's racing now just looking back at the footage, but I did it. After all the challenges, all the things thrown at me, all the terrible, terrible things I've had to been through with this candle, I finally beaten Pokemon Emerald with a candle. Nowhere near the struggle with the bat or the goat, for that matter. But we did it! It's done! The challenge is over, I can finally rest. And I did. Like I said, it was extremely late at the time I was recording this, so I immediately went to bed with a very big smile on my face. So that was it. Can you beat Pokemon Emerald with a candle? Of course you can! But just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I don't recommend this challenge. I mean, you can't really do it anyway. This is my thing. I don't copy my thing. But I can't recommend doing anything similar. Because unless you like pain, which I'm not going to shame or anything, but there's better things you can do. That's all I'm saying. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the little kind of story time thing I did halfway through this. I don't know if you can tell, but I love talking pretty much endlessly. And especially about these characters, what I have spent the majority of my life drawing and writing for. So I hope you didn't find it too boring, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And I hope you just enjoyed this whole video as a whole. This was, I don't want to say fun to make specifically, but it's complicated. Either way, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all soon.